We create jobs and make entrepreneurial dreams come true. ACE, a nonprofit community lender, specializes in small business loans coupled with business advisory services. ACE has loaned more than $39 million, helped over 725 business owners fulfill their dreams, and ACE has helped its clients create or retain more than 6,200 jobs. These are the stories of those businesses we've helped reach success and claim their American dream.
Welcome to ACE's Best Stories. I'm your host, Eric Holtzclaw. ACE's Best Stories focuses on what it takes to start a business. Today, I am joined by Ardina Pierre. She is the owner of Nature's Own Herb Shop. Herb or herb?
Herb. Some people say a herb.
Herb is like a name of a person, isn't it?
Yeah. Herb.
Herb, yes. So tell me, so where is Nature's Own
Nature's Own Herb Shop is located in a very strategic location. It's at 628 South Central Avenue in Hateville.
Hateville, yeah.
Yes.
You and I were talking before the show.
Between the airport and it's just 5 minutes from the airport. It's a very, very local area. Very convenient area.
And near the new Porsche's headquarters.
Yes,
too.
And they just opened the hotel nearby too.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, very nice. So how long have you been in this kind of?
I purchased the store in 1997, which was 20 years ago.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yes, and I actually was a former nurse. I was an RN for 10 years. And I purchased the store in 1997 from a previous owner. Her and her husband had ran the store for many, many years. I think the early 70s. I'm not exactly sure, but it's in the history of Hayville. Actually, the owner's husband had died. Yeah. And so she was running it here and there. She would open sometimes. She would leave early. She didn't have any specific hours, but I heard from a friend that she was wanting to sell the store and she wanted to get away. And so I approached her about the store, and I did a couple of times. Yeah. But in the meantime, when I approached her, I was actually doing the research on the supplement industry. Okay. So I would go in the libraries on my lunch breaks, in between my home building. I did home health in hospitals. In between all of that, I would go to libraries in the area and just did research on the supplement business.
Yeah, because that feels a little early, and maybe I'm wrong, but I feel like there's a bunch of supplemental and conversations about essential oils that are going on now. But this was 20 years ago.
This was 20 years ago.
So you were a pioneer.
Yes, I am a pioneer as well as the location of a health food store, being a pioneer, because the location itself has been there for over 40 years.
Oh wow, yeah.
So it has it is a staple in the community. Right. But at the same time, I did the research because I didn't know anything about it.
Yeah, well, I was going to ask you about that transition. So you were an RN.
Yes.
And you were working in a hospital? Or
right, hospitals and home health.
Okay. And so what made you decide to start looking at this space?
Well, I was actually looking at the structure of healthcare and the protocol and what people go through and how they actually take care of people. And I just felt insecure about how people were being cared for, and I felt there was a better way to heal people. So I looked into the health food business, not only through the research, but interested in the health food store, purchasing the health food store. So as I continued to ask the lady about her business, I would go to her in the evenings and question her about the business and how she's doing. And I would just question her about a number of things. And at first she didn't think I was serious about purchasing it. Yeah. So I kept going, and I eventually made the offer to her. And she agreed to sell it, and we did a real estate deal where I was paying her every month. Yeah. And I gave her a down payment, and I paid her every month. Okay. And so
you did an owner financing.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. So
and that's a really great way to do it.
Yes, exactly. Because I did have a certain amount of funds, but not the total funds that I purchased the business for.
Right.
So she and I went to a real estate we went to a real estate attorney. Her sister-in-law was in real estate. And so she set up the deal with the real estate attorney, and we did an agreement. And we eventually purchased the business. And I had to overhaul the business, of course, because she actually had the business closed sometimes.
Yeah. So you had to let everybody know that you had like consistent hours now and things like that. So talk to me though about, being a nurse or being in the nursing practice feels like it would be, kind of a standard set of hours. You were going in and out of a hospital or doing the home health care. Why did you want to transition into this? This is different, right? It's more retail.
It was quite different, but it was more independent and different. As I did the research, not only did I learn about the healing mechanism of different things like supplements and herbs and vitamins and essential oils, but I also learned from the customers. I learned from reading a lot of books. I learned through research, newsletters. I just learned in every way that I could. And as I experienced and practiced the business of the health food industry, I found out it was very rewarding. Not so much just monetary, but the people would come back and say how wonderful they felt and how they healed from certain things, such as chronic or acute issues. And it just got better each time I did it, the practice. And as I experienced, and I kept going over and over and over again with different situations that people had and help them heal through my research and the reading. And I already knew a lot about the body pathophysiologically and knew how the body worked and the mechanism of how medicine worked, because I did pharmacology and pathophysiology and all those things. But I was able to look at how the system works with the supplements.
Got it.
Versus the pharmacological products.
Right.
And, there's always many side effects. So I was able to tell people how their body actually works when they're on blood pressure medication and what the actual medicine does.
Got it.
Versus a natural supplement. And I would say this natural supplement works with the body and balancing the body to help the body work and aid itself in healing.
Okay. And so was that the move though? Because if you go from nursing to like running a store, those are two different kind of models.
Yes.
Right?
I did have to put in the work, at the initial work at the beginning. A lot of working, extending the hours. Giving information, putting in a lot more products, because again, this was an elderly woman that owned the store, so she would set up the store like a pharmacist. So she would actually block the aisles.
Oh, wow.
She controlled how many people would come in her store.
Yeah.
All those things had to be changed.
Yeah, it reminds me of, I like to watch the show The Prophet with Marcus Lemonis.
Yes.
And one of the stores he went into was called the Blue Jeans Bar. And no one was allowed to touch the blue jeans.
Exactly.
So there was this bar in front of you, and he's like, so how does that work?
Yes. So she basically had a situation like that. So I had to overhaul the whole store. I had to open up all the aisles. I had to keep the doors open for everybody to come in at any time during the hours of operation.
In Hayfield, they probably thought before, they're just like, this is kind of this eccentric little store that has the...
I actually had to revamp the store, the look and everything, because it had that 40s look with the glass, the slanted glass. So it was really old, and the shelves and everything was just so old, and the floors, everything had to be revamped completely. So I had to take steps to do all of those things, but over the years...
How did you know to do that, though? You had a nurse background.
I basically, what I did was I had to go through a counseling program. It was called the One Stop Capital Shop on Ponce.
Yeah.
That was many years ago.
Right.
And it was in the old City Hall building that's now revamped.
Yeah, the Ponce City Market. Yeah.
Exactly. So that's where the One Stop Capital Shop was. And I actually was assigned counselors.
Okay.
And so I actually had to go through the steps of helping me make a decision whether I wanted to buy the business or not.
Right.
So they actually went with me on, did the research. I told them I wanted to purchase a business that was in business already. And they had me go to the library and do research. They had me go to this and that. I went through all types of different entities to pull the research, to do the marketing, to see, and then I went with, it was also connected with Georgia State SBA.
Yeah.
So they all were in the same group together. So they actually did the marketing aspect for me in terms of how many cars pass by, what times, what type of.
So you were smart about it. You reached out to a bunch of experts.
Statistics on the area.
Yeah.
And also, I ended up going through this one counselor told me, after they did all the research and we put everything together, they told me not to buy the business.
They told you not to do it.
And I did it anyway.
Oh, I like it. That's a good entrepreneurial story. That's very rebel of you.
Yes, and it worked out extremely well.
Well, what made you decide to go ahead and do it?
I had a gut feeling that I just was like, there's got to be a better way. I have to do this. I want this. I really want this. And
So you had a passion for it.
Yes, I had a passion for it, and I had a really strong will to do it. It was a determination of saying, I'm going to do this anyway.
Well, so I'm going to leave us there and go to a commercial break. And when we get back, I want to talk about what are some of the things you learned after that. So what are the things that you're like, well, maybe I should have heeded their advice versus these were things that were better. So, I mean, you're still standing 20 years later. So you did a good job with it. Okay. So you're listening to Ace's Best Stories. I'm your host, Eric Holtzclaw. We're talking today with Ardina Pierre. She is the owner of Nature's Own Herb Shop. We'll be back in just a second.
If it wasn't for ACE, my business may have closed in 1 year.
If it wasn't for ACE, my business wouldn't be expanded as much as it's expanding right now. They were there for me at the time of my need.
If it wasn't for ACE, we would not be here today.
Yeah. If it wasn't for ACE, I would very much still be cooking at an hourly rate, and I would have never impacted hundreds of lives and an entire community.
I still remember going to different kind of banks, big banks, and with papers, and these people send me back because I don't have, I had experience in the restaurant business, but I don't have, everything else this bank needed, and I believe in me.
I did the research in Adult Day. I had experienced it personally because my grandfather had Alzheimer's, so I wanted to do the business myself. Get into it because I knew I could make a difference.
Initially, when we started, there was only one person, which would be me. And then the company I've grown from 1% to 8, and we provide quality assurance, quality control testing for FDA-regulated companies.
I think Grace not only completely understands what it's like to start off in an office connected to your laundry room or wherever she was, but she also understands the growth process, and I think that she does an excellent job of making sure that everybody who works with ACE has an understanding of the kind of struggles and celebrations that you can have.
ACE has helped us with putting our business idea into the market, working with us with the business, actually working, actually showing us, guiding me personally, how to solve some of my marketing issue problems or with the business planning.
You don't meet many lenders that are invested in your success. And, from their classes or presentations, seminars, they really do have a vested interest in your success.
The best advice I can do to small business owners is follow your dreams. You know, always follow your dreams. Follow your heart.
Have a plan. Just because you have a passion for it doesn't mean that you can start a good business.
Get ready for the ride of your life, and definitely make sure that you look out for fantastic resources like ACE.
ACE is a way to go.
You're just the best. They really are.
And we're back. You're listening to Ace's Best Stories. I'm your host, Eric Holtzclaw. Ace's Best Stories focuses on what it takes to get a business up and running, or to take one over that may not have been doing as well as it could have been because it had a little eccentricity behind it. So we're talking today with Ardina Pierre. She's the owner of Nature's Own Herb Shop. And as we were going into the commercial break, she had gone and looked for some counsel, and they had told her, you shouldn't buy that. And she went ahead and took the leap anyway. I love that story. So over the 20 years of owning the store, I mean, people who are listening who are not familiar with Atlanta, it's in the south part, Hapeville. It's a very transitional area. There have been a lot of things that have happened while you have owned that store.
Yes. Of course, we had the economic issues, downturn. We had the Ford plant closing. There was just a lot of different things going on in the area, but I was determined to do what I needed to do and stand my ground, as I would say.
So how did you do that? Because, you know, being an owner of a business or an entrepreneur can be very lonely, right? You're the only person, you're the one dealing with it. What kept driving you?
Well, I knew that it was mine. I knew that it was I'm the only one that can do what it needs to be done. Even if you had someone else working for you, you're the one staying in the evenings doing what needs to be done. At the very beginning, I was the one doing the stocking at night and doing whatever needs to be done. I wasn't missing anything.
Yeah.
I felt like friends or whoever, they can do whatever they want. They had the freedom to, the parties, whatever. They didn't miss out on a beat, but I felt like this was mine. I needed to stay the ground and do what needs to be done. And as I went through it, the first year in, I went through a fast track program, which is called Smart Start now.
Okay.
Through Georgia State, SBA. And I was the first graduate. We were the first group graduates of the fast track program when it first started. It's now Smart Grow.
Okay.
And they actually showed us how to do business plans, executive stuff, everything that it takes to run that business. And it was through Georgia State, J. Mac Robinson School, business school at Georgia State. And it was just as if you got an MBA.
Yeah. Well,
it was very intense.
Yeah, so you're very much into like educating yourself, learning, reaching out to resources.
And still are. The only way you can continue in any business is to keep learning and doing the research. I do a lot of research. I give a lot of research to people. I know about the newest things that's happening, whether it's cancer or the newest thing about thyroid. I try to keep up with newsletters, publications. I'm with the New England Journal of Medicine publications. I give people information that they need. Common people still need to know what research is out there, what's new. It's not just about me. It's about learning and educating myself, but educating the people.
Yeah. And in your category, that's so important because,
Yes, it is.
you'll go to a doctor's office and they may be apt to prescribe some kind of medicine.
Right.
It's like, I'm going to give you some medicine. And when you go into, or at least my experience has been, and I was sharing with you, we've just started using essential oils, at least to help us sleep and some of those kind of things. There's an education that you have to go through to understand that because
That's exactly right.
And the store aisles are a little confusing and you're not sure how much.
Exactly. Professionalism is extremely important in this business because you can go to a Walmart, GNC, or any drugstores, and they can't give you any knowledge.
Yeah.
And you pick up something that you may not know that will hurt you, such as histamines will affect your diabetes. It'll
Right.
bring your sugar way up. Such as there are certain medicines that you shouldn't take when you're on, there are certain over-the-counter things that you shouldn't take when you're on prescription medicines and whatever. I also work with the pharmacopoeia, which is a thick book that tells you how herbs and medicine work and what don't work, and they give you all the drugs.
Right.
They tell you all the drugs, but they also give you all the herbs that you can take versus all the drugs.
Got it.
So I do professional things in my store, and so people are not used to that because they're so used to going to Walmart and grocery stores and drugstores and other stores that doesn't give them that knowledge.
Now there's just aisles of stuff.
Right.
And then you've read, like, there's always the headline, do this, don't do that,
Exactly.
do this.
And then you have the negativity of headlines from the other industry that gives people heads up on don't do this and don't do that, and vitamins are not working and vitamins are not so good,
Right.
and this and that. So you have to ask yourself, who's writing these articles and who's paying paid to publish these articles? And people need to understand how the pharmaceutical companies work. They actually have 33 lobbyists for every congressman. And so they always going to have their drugs passed. They're always going to have the FDA approve this, that, and the other. And it may kill 50 people, but it didn't kill thousands of people that
Right.
it helped. So you have to look at those circumstances as well.
So understanding the source.
You have to understand where the negativity is coming from. Who's doing the article? Who's being paid? Somebody's being paid to do the articles.
Yeah.
They just said that they've just lowered the blood pressure standard.
Yeah.
So that's just going to tell people that you're going to have more. There's 13-point-something people on blood pressure medication.
Yeah.
Today. Now it's going to be more because they're going to say that 130 over 70 is too high.
Right.
Which, at one time it was 140, and now it's going lower and lower and lower. So that's telling people, hey, something's up with this.
Yeah.
Cholesterol is the same thing. There's a panelist of 5 people that got together and say, this is how we're going to do this cholesterol thing for the whole entire country. So 3 out of the 5 people got paid under the table to make this study well known.
Yeah.
So that they can put more people on cholesterol drugs.
Yeah. So making sure that you're educating yourself and knowing.
So basically people need to know the truth about how they can actually help themselves, whether it's blood pressure, cholesterol, diabetes, with natural ways in doing it. Diet and exercise. Diet is everything.
Yeah.
98% of the problem is the diet.
Yeah.
And 5% or less may be genetics, but you can pre-program your body not to even have genetic issues.
Right. And so talking about education, both for you building the business and for those that may, want to go and figure out what kind of products would work for them. So I know that's going to be your number one answer. So I'm going to be like, what's been really important to your success, right? If I came to you and said, and you're going to tell me education, what's like another thing? Like what's something else that's been really important?
The education that I received through the Fast Track program, the counseling that I received at this point in time, always have a mentor, someone counseling you, someone to actually educate you on whether you want to do something or not, because you just shouldn't go in just cold feet.
Right.
You should always have some knowledge, some research, some education, and of course you should have some funds.
Right.
You know, the funds are important because you need to have something. You need to put something to the table if someone is going to help you.
Yeah.
You need to sacrifice. You're going to have to sacrifice your time for sure.
Yeah.
Because you can't run a business and be gone by 3-4 o'clock and go out with your friends and do this and do that. You're going to do some sacrificing at the very beginning. Sacrifice now.
Yeah.
So that you can have the rewards later.
Yeah, and the reward is on the other side.
Yes, it would be.
Yeah, and it's sort of that whole kind of like starting an exercise program or a diet thing when you start a business. There's a period of time that's really painful.
It's going to be very painful.
Yeah.
Family suffers. Just so many different things suffers at the beginning stages. But you have to know that that's what it's going to take, sacrificing.
Yeah. So tell me about future for you. What's in the future?
In the future, I have actually received my, I'm board certified naturopathic doctor now. I did the studying. I did all of the courses, and I got my ND degree, and I had to take some exams to become board certified. And so now I'm board certified as well as a professional certified nutritional consultant. So I am actually doing a program in my business with what's called the Zyto machine, where you put your hand on this cradle and it's attached to software, which actually is a biofeedback program that reads your frequencies in your body. And we have frequencies going on in our bodies every single day. And it's the biomarkers that shows up on the software that tells you everything that's going on, the concerns that you should have, and the ones that are most important versus the one that are least important.
Okay.
And I'm doing that in consultation services for $250 an hour.
Okay.
It's a very, very unique biofeedback machine, as well as I do regular consultations, reading the face, the hands, the nails, the tongue, and I do uriology. I read deep into the eyes.
Okay.
So I do regular consultations in my office, but in the future, I plan on having either podcast, radio show, or a radio show in general.
Oh yeah. Well, that would be really smart.
To educate people even more, because right now I do classes once a month, but I want to have my own radio show.
Yeah.
And I'm working on doing that.
Yeah, well, telling people the differences because it's a confusing space.
Yes,
and
because
when
people
something
need
new comes out, like, do I follow it or not, or why would I, and how do I know, and yeah.
Exactly. People really need to know what's going on in their bodies. They need to know how to fix it, and there is always something that they can do to help fix the issues, whether it's acute or chronic.
Yes, very cool. Well, thank you so much for joining me. It's been great.
Thank you.
Great
I
talking with
appreciate
you.
you.
Yeah, so you've been listening to Ace's Best Stories. I've been talking with Ardina Pierre. She's the owner of Nature's Own Herb Shop. And we will put information on how you can get in touch with Ardina all in the show notes, and also links to her location and site and that kind of thing. Join us next week when we bring you another Ace's Best Story about a small business owner or entrepreneur who's starting out on their own to build their own dream.